Good afternoon, dear friends. It's a pleasure to be here once again with you. And today we have a special guest, our Dan Assisi from the United States. But before carry on, would you like to do our opening prayer? So please follow me in thought. We can think about our dear Master Jesus, the great psychologist, the great teacher, the great friend that is helping us whatever we are going to doing. Jesus is with us because we offer our time at his service, serving others with love, care, respect, understanding, forgiveness, everything that is in psychology of life, a way that we can have a better life, a happy life. And today, we just say thank you so much, our dear benefactors, being with us, helping us in this beautiful event. Help you all, wherever you are. So, dear Lord, with your permission, we start our live meeting now. So be it. Our dear friends, I present you Dan Assisi. Dan Assisi is a friend that has lectured on spirituality and spiritism throughout the US and worldwide. Founding member of the Spiritist Institute, co-founder of the California Spiritist Association, and host a special program, Spiritist Conversations podcast. So now I pass this moment to our dear Dan Assisi. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and with our friends. I send you warm greetings from California on the other side of the world. I think it's about 3 p.m. for you over there, and it's 7 a.m. for me over here. So I was about to tell you good morning, but I should probably say good afternoon or both. I am very excited to be here with you and to talk to you for a little bit. And I want to make sure that you know that today we are going to do something a little bit different. We're going to really have a conversation. So there is no formal presentation. There is no talk, so to say. But I do want to talk for a couple of minutes with you, and then hopefully we can talk with each other via the comments and questions about how hard it is these days to grow up in this world. And so today we're really talking to our teen friends, the teen and youth, but we also recognize that we can be teenagers in all age ranges. So of course, everybody is welcome to participate, because I always say that growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. So teens of all ages, welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you today. Our official topic is, why are we here, growing up in a difficult world? And I want to share with you a couple of things. But I also want to take the time first to recognize that there's some friends joining us through the web. I know that this is being broadcast in different places. So I want to say hi to my friend Fabricio. I want to say hi to Luisa. I want to say hi to Angela, Wilts, Pekka, Luciana, Dina, and all the folks out there. If you out there, say hello on the comments box, whatever it is that you are joining us from. We're very grateful that you're here today. I also want to share with you that throughout our talk, you can chime in by just adding your comments there on that chat, and I will be able to see them, I hope. And we can address them or talk to them a little bit about those things today. So I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that that's an acceptable way for us to spend the day today, or at least the hour that we have together, because it will be definitely a different format, like I talked to you about. So let's dive in. Oh, I want to say hi for my friend Steven as well from Ireland. Hi, Steven. It's good to see you virtually here. So this is going to be a different thing. So if you've seen one of my talks before, you might realize that. But I want to really make this interactive and have a chance for us to have a conversation, because I think that this is a topic that we don't talk about very often. especially if you are in your teenage years, if you are a young person. Things are tough right now. Things are rough. Let's just be honest about it. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to grow up in this time and place for a variety of reasons. One of them being that the world is super connected. And that means that all the technology and all the things that have, in many different ways, brought so much comfort to us and have allowed us to talk to each other like we're doing now across the world through the internet. It's also can do a lot of damage. And what do I mean by that? I mean that anything that we do these days can be recorded, can be made public, and can be sent and stay there on YouTube for a long while. And at the same time, technology also allows us to interact with each other, and sometimes the worst of us come out. Right now, for instance, I am the only one on camera, and there's lots of folks here from different places commenting, and there could be people saying mean things through the comments because you're not face to face with that person. So it kind of brings the worst of us in many different ways because we don't have to face the person. And I think that's especially hard. We call that cyber courage, by the way. And I think that's especially hard when we are a teenager, when we're still trying to figure things out. So I just want to put it out there that we recognize that growing up in these times is very, very challenging for kids in general and for kids of all ages. I think that adults are still struggling with that. So we do want to have a conversation, though, about the process of growing up. Because we also see that a lot of teens and a lot of youth are struggling with their feelings, with their sense of self-worth. And to be honest with you, one topic that we should talk about is the topic of suicide. There are a lot of kids who are thinking that they are reaching the end of the rope, that their relationships are not going well, and they are falling prey to the idea that there's nothing better for them today. And that's absolutely not true. And we want to talk a little bit about that as well. So if you are having those kinds of feelings, we hope that we can address a little bit of that today. But know that you can always count on us and many different other folks that can help you through the process as well. Really excited to see many people chiming in. Hello from the Philippines. Hello from Lithuania. From Chicago as well. My friend Don is here. So thanks for being here, guys. All right. Growing up nowadays. I should start by saying, you might be asking yourself, Dan, what makes it that you could be talking about this topic? Why is it that we should listen to you? It's really your choice, right? You don't need to listen to anybody at the end of the day. But you know what? I also was a teenager once. All of us were. And I think that sometimes we forget that. We forget that the so-called adults have also been teens before. And yes, the times were different, but there are some lessons and some challenges that are universal. And there are some things that you can take away from this. There are some wisdom that you could take away from this. And one of those wisdoms that you're going to survive this. You are just going to survive your teen years. You are going to go past, whatever it is that you're going through now, and you're going to be okay. How do I know that? Because I am here standing. Other people are here as well. We survive 100% of our bad days. We really do. We really do. And teenage years, while they have wonderful aspects to them, they are not meant to be the best time of your lives. Let's just be honest about it. Let's just kind of clear the air a little bit about this, because I think that there is some romanticized idea. People make a fairy tale out of your teenage years that this should be the best time of your life. And I want to address that really quickly, because that is just not true. The best time of your life should be today, no matter how old you are and what age you are. Your life should always be getting better. You should always be going towards happiness. So don't feel the pressure of thinking that you are struggling to what should be a wonderful time in your life. right? I think that we have oftentimes this assumption in the back of our minds that we should be having tremendous amount of fun and it should be amazing. And yes, it's great to have fun and it's okay for it to be amazing in many different ways, but it's also going to be a period of exploration. It's also going to be a period of discovery. And every time that we have discovery and exploration, it's hard, it's different, and can be very, very, very stressful, right? So as a teenager, as a young adult, I think that you should bear that in mind. You should know and take some pressure off yourselves of actually thinking that you should be all figured out, right? Because I can tell you, no one is figured out. It's another big myth that adults don't talk about. Adults, and I'm going to use adults quotes, right? That people don't talk about. No one has everything figured out. Those who think they have everything figured out still have a lesson or two to learn as well, right? So we want to take some of the pressure off of thinking that everything should be known to you at this point in time. I know that our media and our social media sometimes give us the impression that we should be living our best lives and everything is wonderful. But the truth is, and this is stuff that I wish people have told me when I was a teenager, right? Everyone is struggling with something that we know nothing about. Everyone in their inner selves, within the four walls of their conscience and of their mind, is struggling with at least one or two things that we're not telling anybody. And it's really hard. And so take some pressure off of you because everybody's struggling. But what happens is we don't know what to do with those struggles sometimes. And so we put up this facade, we put up this persona, we become this character, we put on this mask, pretending that we know what's going on. And so adults, teenagers, everybody, we go through our lives trying to make meaning of things, hoping that no one's going to figure it out, that we don't know what we're doing. And that's like the unspoken secret of humanity. We walk around and if we knew everything and we hold on to the things that we think are going well for us because we think that if those things are going well, then we are well and nobody will figure it out that we're really not knowing what's going on deep inside. So as you look around and think about everybody that you know, one by one, pick some people in your mind and just come to terms with the fact that they also don't know. They really don't know what their life should be about. Very few people have it really figured out. So when we are in our teenage years, it's hard because we have lots of things going on in this sense that everybody else has their stuff figured out and everybody else is happy and maybe we're not. But that's just not so. And added to that, friends, there is another piece that we should talk about that also makes a difference, right? And that is the fact that our bodies are constantly changing. Dan, are you going to give me the sex talk? No, I would not give you the sex talks. Don't worry. You don't need to roll your eyes at me. But I do want to talk about your physiology. I do want to talk about our teenage years and how our bodies develop, right? And I'm not talking about sexually and none of that stuff, Dan. None of that stuff. Don't worry. You don't need to roll your eyes there from the comfort of your whatever it is you're watching this. What I'm talking about is during this phase of our lives, like from starting with 10 years old up to 21, so a pretty big range, our body is undergoing major transformation. And I'm not talking about just size and everything else, right? All those things that we know. I'm talking about hormonal and growth changes, especially in our brain. I really want to talk to you about your brain. So we, as you know, clearly, right? The stork brings us, we're born. Our body grows and develops, but what we are often not told about is that during this phase in our existence, from 10 to about 21, even 25 at times, our brain is greatly developing. And what is happening in your brains is really interesting because it will, bear with me, maybe this will make sense to you. is that we are basically growing our sense of self, our feelings, our emotions, and how we perceive the world. And we undergo millions of years of physical evolution in just 10, 20 years, where our brain goes from what it used to be to what it must be in the future. It's an amazing thing. And the way that the brain works, and if you use your hand, you can kind of see that, like, right? So the brain develops in different layers. And this is your back, and this is the front. This is where your eyes will be like, hello, this is your eyes, right? So as you develop, that your brain is kind of like this. If you fold your hand in and you go like this is your brain, right? Can you see that? So from the back of your brain, this part of your brain here is what controls, is your lizard brain, sometimes it's called. It's what controls all those mechanisms in your body that are automatic, like your breathing, everything else is here, things that you don't need to talk about that keep you alive, right? And as you go forward all the way to the front, you have all different kinds of things, vision and so forth. Right here in front, right here, the frontal cortex, this part over here in our brains. This is the part of our brain that is better able to handle cause and effect, cause and consequence, right? The ability to say something will happen, therefore this is what's going to go. So it's the ability of us to really have a better sense of what are the consequences to our actions. No surprise that this one is the last one to develop. And it only fully develops when we are about age 21, thereabouts, right? It takes a longer. Which explains sometimes why is it so hard for us to make great choices during our teenage years, right? And in the middle here, we also have our feelings and everything else. So during this time, our brain is developing, hormones are kicking in, our emotions are kind of coming up, and it's really hard to have a more objective view of the world. And if you're a teen, you might not have thought about this because people didn't explain that to you, but your brain is sort of making it hard for you right now because you're feeling everything really intensely as this flood of hormones and things and development is coming in to help your brain develop fully. So when you are in that range, 10 to 20 or so, you are really struggling because everything seems so intense and so strong, and you haven't yet realized that it will even out and that you're going to be okay. And your ability to see the cause and consequence and see the future, what's going to happen, is not really fully developed just yet. And as a matter of fact, I know a lot of grown-ups who have not fully developed this front part either, right? So a lot of people out there who are not good at making decisions. So I say that not to give you an excuse out of things, because it's not an excuse, but for you to understand that in this particular time, during your teenage years, it's hard. It's hard because not only you're trying to make sense of the outside world, but there is the inside world that's also changing. Your ability to perceive things physically, you're responsive, your emotions, everything's changing. That happens to absolutely every single person on the planet. Everyone goes through this. So you're going to be okay. Right? But it does give you some tools to know that when those emotions come, when those happiness, frustrations, anger, whatever it is, sadness, it's really strong because of that. But if you pause, if you take a moment, breathe, it will be okay. It will go away. Right? So I tell you that so that you can understand what's going on and why it feels so intense sometimes. Why it feels so incredibly difficult sometimes is because you really are feeling through a magnifying lenses. But so what could help? What could help really understanding that? And what are the things that I wish really people had told me when I was a teenager? Let me share my screen with you because I want to show you something, right? And we're going to try to put this here on the screen. I have just 2 slides for you that I want to make a comparison to. So Elsa, can you help me putting that slide on the screen? Let's see if we can get this over here. We're going to try. There it is. All right. So thank you, Elsa. Thanks for helping me. All right. So what do you see right here? Right? When you first look at this, it seems like tons of blobs and blots. Right? It just seems like these are things that make no sense at all. They are colorful patches. They're distributed in different places. Maybe it's attractive. Maybe it's chaotic for you, right? So feel free to chime in and let me know what you think. But what is interesting here is when we first see this, we don't really see a pet. We don't really see, we really don't understand what that is. However, what if I were to tell you that this is a small part of this picture? That part that I showed you, it's really just a swat, a little tiny little part of that woman's dress in that picture. And by the way, this is a picture. It's called George Seurat, and it's called A Sunday on La Grande Jetée, right? But why do I say that? Why do I bring this thing over here? It's because oftentimes when we are in our teenage years and in our lives in general, we only see those blots. We're so close to everything. We're feeling everything day to day that we forget that there is a bigger picture at play, right? If we are so close to the canvas, if we are so close to the screen, we can't see the bigger picture. And our teenage years are really hard because we are so close to the picture all the time. We are living it so intensely because our emotions are flooding us, our brains are flooding us, people on the outside are flooding us. Everything is coming in so strongly that we are unable sometimes to take the step back and realize a couple of things, right? And so what I really bring that up for is that it really helps you to take that step back. And that is something that oftentimes people won't talk to you about, and this world struggles with, is taking that step back to understand who you are and why you are here. Once you do that, it really helps you make sense of things. Will it take all your pain away? No, but it will make it easier for you to understand that, and you will not have to struggle as much, right? So take that step back, and let's take that step back together. One important thing for you to know that people will not often talk to you about is that you are not you. Well, you're you, but you're not just you. What do I mean by that? You're not the physical body that you look at. Nobody is. The Dan that you watch now is the clothing of Dan the spirit. You are an immortal spirit who is temporarily here on this planet to do a couple of things, to learn, to grow, to love, right? And in the process of preparing yourself to do all of this, you take on a physical body, and that physical body has to grow and it has to adapt so that it can reach its peak, so that you can have the wonderful life and do the things that you're meant to do. And during that process of getting used to your physical body, all these changes take place and things are harder. Like putting on new shoes right in the beginning, they look great, but they're sometimes tight. They're sometimes uncomfortable. That's your teenage years. But when you break in your body a little bit, when you walk with it for a little while, when you pass through the teenage years, I promise you, it gets a lot more comfortable. It gets a lot better. So once you're able to zoom out and understand that everything that you're going through right now, it's temporary. It's just a tiny little picture of the bigger painting. You're going to realize that there's a lot more in the world for you. And that's going to become a lot better. But you need to make that exercise of stepping back. You really need to kind of go back a little bit and understand. And the more you go back and take the time to think about this, the more you give yourself room to breathe. And that's one of our takeaways. Like, give yourself room to breathe. Make sure that when you're feeling high or low, sad, just step back from everything and just go back to, I'm an immortal spirit. I'm going to be okay. Because the truth of the matter is that God has put you on earth to accomplish a couple of things. And it's important to talk about this because a lot of people will talk to you about God without necessarily really going to the important stuff, right? A lot of people talk about God, about what are the things that they want you to do because they think that's what God wants you to do. But what I want to talk about when it comes to God is the most fundamental piece for me, which is simple. You are a child of God. You were created by God. you are loved beyond your ability to understand that right now because you're being flooded by all those thoughts, circumstances, and hormones. God would never put you on this planet to suffer and be unhappy. God puts you here so you learn things. The suffering and the unhappiness that happens along the way, it's because we are struggling with the lesson. We are unsure about how to do things so that we can be happy. But the good news is once we learn, and things get much better. So the fundamental thing that you need to remember is you were put here to face opportunities for growth. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes not as much. But you are not here on vacation. You are here to grow and learn. And in the process, it's going to be uncomfortable at times. But the good news is that God would only give you challenges that you can overcome. Because God is all loving and all caring. And no parent would ever give you a challenge that's beyond your ability to overcome it. Especially a divine parent like God. If things come your way, if challenges and troubles come your way, that is because you are capable of handling them. So once you're able to step back from the picture and really see the big canvas, you're going to begin to understand that all the challenges that you have are sort of like a compliment to you. It's God's way of saying, you can handle these things on your way to bigger things, to doing wonderful and amazing things, because you are going to do great things in your life. You might not be famous, but you're going to do great things because there's great things to be done that don't necessarily make you famous, right? There's raising a family. There is being really good at what you do. There's being happy. There's loving others. There's making a positive change in this world that is sort of unkind right now. And you were put in this time and place. You were born in this time and place because you have a contribution to give to the world. I wish people had told me earlier on, because sometimes we feel like we're catching up. We're just trying to make things okay. But it's actually more than that. You're not just here to make things okay. You're not just here not to have pain. You're here to do wonderful things. And in time, you will. Your actions matter, and they're so valued. And they're so appreciated, not only by us, but by the spiritual realm as well, that you should really take a step back and have an ability, make some time to say, you know what? I'm okay. Because you are okay right now. And by the way, there's a wonderful little tool that I use sometimes when I'm not feeling so great, is when I get worried about everything. I just stop and I say, I am okay right now. In this very moment, in this second, I am okay. Because sometimes our brains get so caught up on things that we only start seeing negative things, right? And worry about things. But we can stop all of that, stop our brains and say, I am okay in this second. Breathe and then do it again. I'm okay in a second. And you realize that you're going to be okay. There's no challenge you cannot overcome, right? The other thing that I want to tell you really quickly, too, is I really would love for you to start grappling with the idea that other people's behaviors are not personal to you. I mean, even if they're trying to do mean things to you on purpose, it's really not because of you, it's because of them. Because at the end of the day, behavior, how people behave, is a result of a need that they have, whether it was met or not met. So sometimes people will say unkind things to you or behind your back or whatever it is because they have a need to feel better about themselves or because they want to please other people because, again, they don't have it all figured out. And they're also looking for fulfillment. They also are looking to feel special because they are hurting inside. And sometimes we do that too, right? Sometimes we say mean things of other people because we want to put them down, because if we feel like they are down, then we are up. And we don't know how to address our emotional needs. And the truth is, nobody knows how to address their emotional needs. We were not taught in school. We were not really instructed on really looking back and looking at our feelings. So if you want to try to understand why is it that people behave the way they do, stop and say, What kind of emotional need? What is it that they need that made them behave that way? Again, it doesn't excuse them. Everybody's responsible for our own actions and our own way of dealing with the world. But once we do that, we begin to understand where people are, and you're going to find out that everybody that looks really put together, really figured out, is not. The popular person, the rich person, the poor person, the beautiful person, the ugly person, everybody's going through the same stuff and they're struggling, right? So just think about it. Behavior comes from a need not met. And when you do things, and sometimes you don't understand what you have done and why you've done that. Sometimes we lash out with people. We say things we don't understand. Try to understand, why did I say that? What kind of need, what emotional need did I need, did I have that was not met? And needs can be things like, I have a need for affection. I have a need for love. I have a need to be recognized. I have a need for understanding, be understood, right? So go through that list and try to understand. And you're going to be surprised, because a lot of times our emotional drive our actions, but we're not even aware of our emotions. So that's a little secret that I want to let you in on, because the truth of the matter is, even our adults, so to speak, are not in full control of their emotions. They don't know what they're doing most of the time, right? And so it's important for you to know this, because you are going to grow older, but growing up really is optional. How you handle all these things are really going to help you mature and be happier and more fulfilled, because you are going to be happier and more fulfilled. You really will be. And you were put here, and that's the last thing I want to talk to you about, and then we'll stop, because I know I'm babbling quite a bit, right? But you were put here on this earth to be you, right? This is a tough lesson for us to learn. I know it sounds silly, but it's actually really tough, because we see so many different things. We see people, we see things, and we want to be like them. And that's perfectly understandable, right? Maybe we want to be famous, or we want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful for sure, because look, this is what I got to work with, right? Could be better, right? So everybody wants to be something, but the truth is, that's other people's, right? You are you, and you were prepared, and you came this way with what you've got for a reason. And the reason's simple, because that's what you've been trained to do. There are lessons that you are going to work on that require you to be the way you are. Working on yourself is why we're here. And you were prepared in all the experiences that you have had up to now, including past lives, because you actually have had different past lives. This is not the first time you're around the block. Everything else that has happened in the past has prepared you for the here and the now. But they have prepared you to be Daniel. They prepare you to be Luciana. They prepare you to be Michelle. They prepare you to be Sol. They prepare you to be Spinoza, right? They have not prepared you to be somebody else. They have prepared you to be you. Nobody can be you but you. And you cannot be other people, because you have not had their experience. And if you're thinking that it's better to be other people, it's because you have not walked in their shoes, because they're all struggling with something. So don't go against your own grain, is what I'm saying. Like, be you. Continue to work on you, change you, without you working on yourself, trying to be something that you're not. If you want to improve yourself, by all means. Hi, Luciana. Thank you. Beautiful in the inside. I'm working on being beautiful on the inside. Work on yourself, because you can change. But don't expect you to be someone else. Change is hard. Change is really hard. Just do a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. The way that it helps me to do this is to really spend some time on a day-to-day basis, zooming out and remembering that which you're going through right now, it's not what's meant to be forever. And that you were destined, and you were made, and you were literally born for this. You were really born to go over these challenges, which you will, right? And do amazing things and be happy. And your teenage years are such a small part of your life, right? It seems like a big deal right now, but after that, you realize it's going to be a memory in your mind, and you're going to be so many wonderful things afterwards. So it's going to be okay. Really, it will be. You will survive it. Take it from me. I was a teenager once too, right? So just focus on these things. And we have a question for Marcella here. Hi, Marcella. How do we tell a teenager that not everyone is going to be the next big thing? So much expectation that we know it's not real. How to tell them that you're still special even when you're not a star on Instagram? It's a great question, Marcella. I think that's a conversation like the one we're having, right? I think that it's not a one-time thing. I think that we need to have this conversation and understand, listen, like, what is it to be an Instagram star? Or more importantly, why is it that you want to be an Instagram star? So it's really not about being an Instagram influencer. It's really about getting the love and recognition, right? Because if we don't talk about these things, if we don't talk about our emotions, if we're not having these conversations, then we're going to let the world have those conversations for us. And what the world is telling us is that Instagram stars and Instagram influencers are happy all the time, and they're amazing. And everybody loves them. They must be loved because a lot of people watch what they do, right? So that is the logic and the things are going into our brain without realizing that that's not the case. That Instagram star has more problems and challenges than we do. We just don't see it. We just see one side of it. We just see one slice of the pie. Because there is this big lie that goes around the world that we're all happy all the time, that we only put our best foot forward to other people because we're so afraid of not being accepted that we have to pretend that we're figured out. So I think that we got to go back and really have an honest conversations with ourselves, with our teens, about the fact that what we see is a lot of people fronting. What we see out in the world is a lot of people really not telling us who they are. They're just trying to make us fall in love with them because they are so insecure about themselves that they only put their best foot forward. That's all of us. No judgment, people. That is all of us, right? It's the big unspoken lie. We walk around our lives thinking that everybody else is figured out because we only see their figured out part. How long has that Instagram influencer prepared that post or those conditions or that picture, right? How long have they agonized about all these things? And we think it's just natural, and it's not so much. So I think more importantly is for us to have conversations with our teens, but also with ourselves about our needs, our emotional needs. Why do I have the need to be famous? Why do I need to I have the need to be, more beautiful, physically speaking, right? Why is that? It's because we're all struggling with who we are. We really are. Nobody talks about it because we're so insecure. But the truth is, I'm not figured out. You're not figured out. You have doubts. You have questions. You have pains that maybe you go to sleep to and you don't tell anyone else. And our teens are not seeing that. They don't know this. They figure people have things figured out, and that's not true. It just isn't true. That's why we're here in the world. We're not here in the world to be on vacation, right? When we zoom out and we remember that we are immortal spirits who are in this world to learn things and grow, like we're here to work, spiritually speaking. Yes, it's not going to be boring all the time, right? We're going to have fun along the way. We're going to meet people. We're going to make great connections. We're going to learn tons of things. They're going to uplift our heart. But there's going to be work, right? And so having a conversation about fame, about everything else, would really go a long way, perhaps, of telling people that they are loved just the way they are. And how often do we even talk about our feelings, people? And for young folks out there, if you feel like you are not loved, you're not appreciated by your parents, you are. But you also want to remember that they oftentimes, parents, people like me, don't often know how to express their own feelings. That's not a secret, right? Your grandparents did not know how to express feelings to your parents because they were never taught. And your parents are better than your grandparents maybe expressing feeling to their own children, right? And I hope that you're going to be even better to your own kids if you choose to have them later on. Because this whole idea of us opening up and saying and talking about our feelings is something that traditionally over the centuries, it was shunned upon. We were not really supposed to do that because people still think that if we share our feelings and if we share our vulnerable sides, people are not going to like us. We're so afraid of not being liked and being appreciated and cared for and validated that we feel that if we don't share, then nobody will know. And that way they won't dislike me. Not true. People who dislike you for the whatever reasons, you can be the most wonderful person on earth and they will find a reason if they want to dislike you. And it's not on you. Whether people like you or don't like you has very little to do with you. It has a lot to do with them and what they're going through. Listen, Jesus, our older brother, the greatest spirit that has ever graced this planet, right? The most perfect being that we know was not liked by a lot of people. Nothing that he did was good enough for some folks, right? And so we're going to experience the same situation. And we're not nearly as good as Jesus was, right? So we just have to be okay with the fact that people are not going to like us. People are going to make stories in their minds about things, right? People are going to make stories about why they don't like you or why you did something that they don't care. But those things have nothing to do with you. It has a lot to do with them. Much the same way that you should not allow yourself to make stories in your mind. Don't start making stories in your mind about what people said about you and why they said it. Go talk to them. Ask them, right? And understand that they also have a need to be met, right? So just hang in there. Hang on to that. And so just to recap, just to recap, right? Because I'm talking for too long and it's hard because I'd rather see you on the screen, right? Listen, take a step back. As a teen, you're in your formative years. You are basically growing your body and your brains. And right now, this is the period where your brain and your emotions are stretching, right? They are getting comfortable. It's like a new shoe, right? The body's really trying to get comfortable. Your spirit, who you are, is getting comfortable with your physical body so that it can be its fullest for things you're going to do later, right? So just hang in there, right? So you're in this time of figuring it out, and everybody thinks they have things figured out or that everybody else has figured out, and they're not. And we put ourselves in horrible situations and we treat people unkindly. We have a comment, for instance, from Fabrizio. On my teenager years, I battled a lot to be someone that I wasn't because of my sexual orientation. What Spiritism could say to all these teenagers in the same situation or any similar situation they are struggling about their sexuality? The same thing. Whether it's your sexuality, whether it's your desire for fame, whether it's your ability to think about your looks, we are all thinking that we are not going to be good enough just the way we are. And the truth of the matter is you are more than enough. You were made this way because you were enough. People might treat you unkindly, but that is not a reflection of who you are. They are fighting their own problems. And we have to have open conversations with ourselves and with our kids. And I hope that our teenagers are going to have these conversations and more with their kids, because it's not okay for us to treat other people unkindly. You are struggling right now. We have a friend, Fabrizio, who struggled also when he was a teenager, right? I struggled with different things when I was a teenager and being accepted as well, right? We're all struggling with things. And discriminating and being unkind to people, it's silly. It's just plain silly, especially when you understand that we are an immortal spirit that comes back in different incarnations in many different times. We're having this great awakening right now on Earth, where we're beginning to realize that we really need to change and do things differently, right? Here in the United States, you are seeing a lot of tension and racial tension because we have done a poor job of addressing and helping those who are not being treated equally and fairly, right? This is the time to change, right? This is a time to think about this. So hang in there, and you're going to be okay. And just know that people are fronting. Everybody's trying to figure themselves out. So just be okay with you being your full self. And remember that you were made to be you, not anybody else. So work on you. It's not a race with other people. It's kind of a race with you. It's about you improving your own time, you getting better at what you do. But you can't compare yourself with other people because you haven't had the training that they have, and they have not had the training that you have to be you. You're the only person qualified to be you. You're the only person that have gone through your experiences to be you. So stop looking to your side and try to be somebody else. It's not going to work out. It just isn't, because you weren't trained for that. You're trained for being you. You were trained to add to the world that which you need to do and add to the world, that only you can do, because there are things that only you can do. You might not have figured them out yet, but there are things that only you can do, right? And there's a question from our friend Espinosa. Hi, Espinosa, and I think you might be from Colombia. Oh, Venezuela. Hi. So how can we help a teen that feels suicidal? Much the same way we can help anybody that feels suicidal. Just be there for them. And let's help each other zoom out, right? Let's help each other understand that the challenges that we're facing right now are a small sliver of our lives. And let's take a step back if we can, because sometimes it's really hard when we're in those feeling modes, right? Sometimes that tool, like I'm okay right now, in this second, I'm okay. I have what I need. I have clothes. I am breathing, right? I am here. So just let's calm our minds down. Hi, Espinosa. Yes, that's awesome, right? So greetings to our friends in Venezuela. Thank you for being here, Espinosa. Let's calm ourselves for the moment, right? So when we're bleeding, when we have a physical pain, or we cut ourselves because we ran into something, we got hurt, right? We don't look at it and say, "Oh, what should I do about it?" Right? Like we put a bandage on that bleeding, and then we figure it out later how to do other things, right? How to patch it up, how to stitch it up, and everything else. So address the moment. The moment is, you're going to be okay right now. I'm here with you. Now let's zoom out a little bit, because all these difficult situations that are developing is because we think that they are unsolvable, right? That they cannot have a solution, because being suicidal or being in that frame of mind, it's really not about dying. It's really about stopping the pain. It just so happened that we think that if we take our own lives, the pain will go away, right? It's really, suicide is really not about dying. It's about stopping the pain. Once we can show and talk about the fact that you will not stop the pain if you take your own lives, then suicide stops being an option. Because in fact, suicide would likely increase your pain. But we haven't talked about this. We haven't talked to ourselves and to our children, to our people, about the fact that we are immortal spirits, and that we're temporarily living in a physical body. And we haven't talked to them about God, or we haven't done that enough in a way that reminds them that they're loved, that even if it sucks right now, right? It might suck right now, let's be honest, right? It might suck. Right now, it sucks, but it will get better because there's God. As simple as that. God will not let you be in a sucky situation forever. And the question then becomes, if that is the case, and God loves me, and so much more people love you, and just let's do the calculation of love here really quick. Let's do the math on love, right? We're immortal spirits that reincarnate. We know that because we have learned that through mediumship. The spirits come and tell us that they have a physical body before. So if that's the case, and it is, hate to break it to you, but it is, then you have people that you don't remember from past lives you had. Your parents, your partners, your friends, who you don't remember right now, but who still love you and are still loving you from the other side, right? When we lose somebody that we love, we don't stop loving them, even though we can't see them anymore. The same thing is with them. When they pass over, they continue to love us. You have so much love in your lives, you just don't stop to realize it. You not only have the love of people who are here, who may not be able to express the love, but they love you, but you have the love of God, you have Jesus, you have incredible great spirits, but you have all your friends and all your family members from previous lives that are loving you. There's an incredible amount of love for you, but we don't stop to take stock of the love we have. We don't stop and say, oh my goodness, there's so many people that care for me, and think about them. And your cup will overflow with love, so to speak, if you think about it. If you really do the math on how much people love you, how many people are out there loving you right now, you would be surprised. And then it becomes a matter of working out through your problems. Are you going to solve all your problems? Yes. Are you going to solve all your problems the way you want them? No, but you are going to solve them, right? So when we are feeling bluesy, when we're feeling suicidal, let's talk to somebody else. Let's talk about it. And if we find somebody who is feeling that way, let's ask them, hey, how are you feeling? Are you thinking about this? Like research shows that by you bringing it up, it's easier to talk about. And also there's a lot of qualified psychiatrists and psychologists, people. Let's break this idea that psychologists are for crazy people. That's not true. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs somebody to talk to, especially in a world where we are struggling with talking about our feelings. If you found somebody to talk to your feelings about that can give you good counsel, great. Keep doing it. Maybe it's your parents, right? Maybe it's a friend, but somebody you trust who cares about you and who's going to tell you good things and tell you the truth in a kind way to guide you, right? Not just say what you want to hear, but really be a coach for you. Find your coach, right? And if you don't have one, then get somebody who was trained for this. Get a psychologist. Go talk to them. Help them. Have them help you zoom out so that you can see things that you aren't seeing because you're too close to the picture, right? So just know that. And there's a question from our friends here in North Beach as well. Hi, folks in North Beach. Love you guys. You guys are amazing. I hope you continue to do the great work that you keep doing in the community. How can our teens be true to themselves if their world is so oppressing and so competitive? It's a great question. And it's one for teens of all ages, because adults are also struggling with that. The only difference is that we have a little bit more experience and we survive our teenager years, right? But let's go back to the essence. Let's take that step back from the picture. If we're too close to the picture, it doesn't look good, right? Take a step back and realize that the world is telling you things that are not necessarily true. It's up to you to know how to discern, how to pick things apart and find out what's what, right? It's for you. I'm looking down because my shirt says what. Can I see it? Can I get a what? So when I said what's up, I thought about that, right? That's how my brain works, people. Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? So the world, the physical world, is telling us that the physical things are important because that's what's in front of us. It's not the world's fault. It's not anybody's fault, right? It's just that we have accepted that because we have not stopped to think about things. But there's truth in a lot of beautiful things, right? There are a lot of different things that we haven't thought about. There is this guy, the Buddha, right, that thousands of years ago said something amazing. He said that life is a struggle, that we're here to struggle, which we agree with, right? It's about growing and learning. And then he says that suffering and pain comes from attachment to impermanent things, the things that are not permanent. If you hold on to things that are going to go away, you are going to suffer, right? So if you think that happiness comes from having things, whatever it is, watch it, whatever it is, right? Things that are going to go away, you are eventually going to be let down, right? But if you really go back and think about things that are permanent, and that's the spirit, that's you, your feelings, your amazing things that you bring to the table as an immortal spirit that you are, this agent of change in the universe. You are here to evolve and to help the world grow. Two things that we learned that the spirits tell us. When you understand that, then it becomes a little bit easier for you to know that the importance of the material world is a lot less than we think it is. That there are a lot more important things, right? As you grow up, hopefully, you begin to realize that what really brings happiness to you, generally not things. When you are asked, when you're older and you're asked to look back and say, tell me about the really happy moments of your lives, you're going to find out that they're generally attached to people, not to things, right? Moments that you shared with people. They might involve things, right? It might be like the house that you bought, but it wasn't the house physically. It was the ability to be with the people that you like in the space that you care about, right? You begin to realize that the material world is just one layer. When you peel it and you can see deeper, you begin to understand that, you know what, physical things are not that important. And you can't take that with you. And that's what our older brother Jesus says too, right? Gather your treasures on heaven. Or they used to say, focus on things that are important to you, that are going to be with you forever. That's how you feel about yourself. That's how you develop, how you care for others. These things you're going to take with you from life to life. But who you are in terms of physical body, what clothes you have, and how do you look, and that's not that important. It really isn't. You're going to find that out, right? But that's so different. It's so different from everything else that we are messaged, right? Because we are messaged that we need to buy this thing to look better, because then people are going to like us better, right? If I buy this shirt, people are going to think I am cool and I'm great, right? So people are trying to sell us emotional states of mind by giving us things, because it works, because we're so insecure, all of us, without exception, that we think that if we get that thing, we'll be happier, right? And that's just because we're still in a place collectively where we haven't that with your feelings, but we will, right? And so all that to say, friends, and thank you for everybody who's watching. Hi, Clea from Texas as well. I just want to make sure that you know, fundamentally, that everything that you're going through is going to pass. It's going to be behind you. The challenge that you have right now are going to go away eventually. You're going to deal with them. And you can always ask for help. You don't have to figure everything out, right? And for our teens out there, know that you're in a period of your physical body, of your physical life, of one life, of many lives you've had before. So you already experienced this before. You have already survived this before, right? That you are just growing and stretching your brain and your body. And things feel very intense right now, but they are going to get better. These are not the happiest times of your life. Trust me, you're going to experience a lot more happiness when you do those. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to be different if you feel like you are different, right? It's okay. Just be you. Be you. Know that nobody else can be you. You have been put here to be you and to work on you. Don't try to be somebody else. You're not prepared for that. It's not going to work out for the long term. It really doesn't. But being you will work out for the long run, so much so that not only will you be happier, but you also are going to bring a lot of joy and love and happiness to this world just by being here, which is something we also forget. Sometimes we forget how much joy we bring to the world because people don't tell us about it. But you are making somebody happy right now. There's somebody in your family that loves you so much that if you were not here, their life would be a lot less. You add value to the world just by being in it. That's why God has placed you here, because God trusts that you are going to play an incredible role in the world by just being you. Just be you. Just work on you. All the challenges are going to go away. They're going to change. You're going to get new challenges. They're going to be different. And you are going to navigate all those. And when you see challenges as an opportunity for growth, and we begin to understand that other people are also fighting battles that you don't know about. All those people that you think are happy on Instagram, they're not. They're also fronting. They're also seeking their happiness. We're not judging them. We're just saying, learn how to read the world as it truly is. Everybody at night struggles with something, right? It's okay with that, right? All right, so we'll take one more question because we're reaching our end here. Sol brings a question up. I have a teenager girl of 16 years old, and she said that she has a lot of friends that think it's suicide. They don't know about spiritism. They don't know they're immortal beings. What families should do with teenagers that think about suicide when they have other religions? Do you think only medical assistance should be enough? Only medical assistance is not enough. Should we have medical assistance? Yes, we should have psychology, counseling. Everybody could benefit from that. Everybody without exception could benefit from a coach, right? No doubt about it. But it's not a thing that somebody else is going to figure it out for us, right? Suicide and questions about the world and everything else, that's something that everyone is going to struggle with in different pieces. What we do need to make sure we're talking to our kids about is that they are loved and that they are going to be okay, right? Because it's really hard. It's really hard to be in this world today with children being so exposed in social media, right? If we are not having this conversation, it's going to be harder for them. If they don't believe in an immortality of the soul, I think it's a little bit harder, but it's not undoable. We just have to remind them of God's love for them. But that's not enough. We also have to show them that we care and talk to them about the fact that they are okay just being who they are. There's so much pressure these days, self-imposed pressures on teenagers, on girls of being and looking a certain way, right? It's a silly. That's not how the world is, and not should it be. So what is it that what are we doing to disrupt that, to really show girls and boys, teenagers, and so forth that what really matters is not what we look like or what we have, right? What is it that we can do to actually show them that, right? We gotta start talking about this. We gotta start having that conversation with people and telling kids also about our role in their upbringing, right? Because a lot of times, Stephen brings a great question here. A lot of times we don't want to say no to our children. And I get that, because we want them to love us too, right? We also have an emotional need, right? We also, as grown-ups, we're talking to about teenagers as if they were some alien race or something, right? They're human, just like us. So we don't talk down to teenagers. We talk with them, right? And we have to have a conversation with them and really tell them, like, listen, my job as a parent is to make sure to keep you safe and to help you grow to be the best human that you can be, right? My job is not to make you like me, although that would be really wonderful. And I am always going to love you no matter what you do. No matter what you do, I am always going to love you. But my job that God trusted me with is to make sure that I try to prepare you to be the best human being that you can possibly be. And in the process of doing that, sometimes I'm going to tell you no, because those choices are not good. I might explain to you why the choices are not good, right? And you might not like them at times, but at least I will tell you why they're not good and why you shouldn't do it. Now, sometimes you might disagree with me, and I understand that. But until you are old enough to make decisions on your own, right, and be responsible for your own life, I might have to make some decisions for you. But I love you, and I'm going to tell you no at times, right? And so that you know, this is where I'm coming from. And it's not a one-time conversation. It's many times conversation, because when we are trapped in that emotional sense of feeling, right, it's hard to kind of walk away from that. And at the same time, it's important for us to know that we don't want to keep saying no to our kids all the time. You can also redirect the no to a yes, right? You can say, how about we do this instead, right? Because otherwise your interactions with your kids is just about no, no, no all the time. And no, the teenagers are going to push their boundaries. They are going to push because that's what they're supposed to do. They're figuring themselves out. They are trying to make sense of the world. They are going to be difficult. It's part of what you signed up for as a parent, right? We just have to be okay with that. But have the conversation. You can have the conversation and make sure that you're defining the relationship and reminding people that they are loved. And that relates to a lot of stuff. And yes, this chat was not for teenagers. As I said, Rejani, they're teenagers of all ages. And Elsa said, brilliantly mentioned that earlier on, from teenagers from 13 to 90 years old. We're all teenagers in different ways. Emotionally, we're all teenagers, right? So I'm going to leave you with a final remark, which is simple. Remember that you are loved beyond your ability to do so, and make sure you're taking the time to step back from the picture to see the whole painting, right? And you're going to be okay. I promise you. And you're going to survive these moments too. All right, Elsa, I'm going to toss it back to you because I think you're running against our time.
Yeah. No, it's okay, because a lot of questions is coming even to my WhatsApp, but we have to finish. Done. Thank you so much. Brilliant, really brilliant. So everybody love it. We need, as someone said, to do more like that, to open a space for teens, open a space for them to talk, to come. So you said a lot of good things about other media, show themselves in Instagram, etc. It is true. If they don't look beautiful in Instagram, someone said something to them, they can be really upset. Okay, I hope everybody like it, and we can share more and let the other teenagers know about. And say once again, on behalf of BUSS that organized this event and Kardec Radio that helped us to broadcast, and yourself, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much for everyone that participated here and the ones that will participate later on. And if I can ask you to do our final prayer directed to our teenagers, I'll be good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to BUSS. Thank you to folks at Kardec Radio and everybody else who's taking part in this. And thank you for taking time out of your days to be in this conversation with us. It was really a different kind of conversation where we were just really talking about things. And in that sense, we also want to take some time to talk to God. And that's what prayer really is. It's our ability to just open our hearts and our minds and talk to God who loves us so much. And so that's what we want to do right now. Close your eyes if you want to. You don't have to. Do whatever it takes. But I'm just going to take a moment to be grateful for being who we are and for being okay in this very second. Right now, all of us are breathing. And we can give ourselves permission to leave our problems aside for just a second. Just a second. We breathe in and we reach with our minds above to feel the love and the good vibrations that come from God. To remind ourselves that as immortal spirits that we are, we can take time to breathe, let our souls breathe by connecting above. And we ask you, God, be with us in this moment. Fill my heart with joy, even though I may not be able to hear you right now, but let me feel you. Let me feel the love that you have for me. Let me just feel that. And it takes practice, I know, God, but please, to continue to watch over me, because I know you watch over me every single day. Give me the strength to face all the challenges that I have and realize that I'm an immortal being that is going to overcome many different things. Give me the clarity of mind to stop and think about my actions and those around us and try to understand people and understand myself as well. And allow me to continue to grow in understanding, and also remind me that I do not need to be anything else or anybody else to be deserving of love. That I am already deserving of love by being me, and that never will change. And give me finally, God, the strength to remember that every single day, and give me also the ability to make an important contribution to the world that could always be better. I am grateful for all that you give me and all the wonderful people in my life, whether I see them or not, whether I remember them or not, God. Thank you for all that I have. Thank you for this day. So be it.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite you all for the 11th of July. We have a special talk as well with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni about guilt and depression, a spiritist perspective that is direct to help people with suicidal thoughts as well. Thank you, Dan, once again. It's so nice to have you here, have you all.
It's my pleasure. God bless all of us, Elsa. Thank you, friends.
Thank you all.